You want to give the clap down?
3, 2.
Memento is a movie from the early 2000s. It's an American psychological thriller written and directed by Christopher Nolan. It's based on the short story Memento Mori that was written by his brother, Jonathan Nolan. The film stars Guy Pearce, Carrie-Anne Moss, and Joe Pantoliano. Joe Pantoliano. Okay, that's it. It follows Leonard Shelby, a man who suffers from antegrade amnesia, resulting in short-term memory loss and the inability to form new memories. That is the synopsis, I guess, without spoiling it. I think we will spoil it, though.
100%. This is going to be a spoil-filled review. So, talk to me. How many times have you seen this film prior?
I've seen this film probably 5 times.
Wow, okay.
It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I learned about this movie 4 years ago.
About, yeah.
When I watched it, I don't know, it was one of the most kind of profound movies I've ever seen, I guess. It stuck with me. You know, it's a psychological thriller, so obviously it's breaking down somebody's psyche.
Yeah, so I also want to preface, I've only seen this movie once before, and this is my favorite movie of all time. The first Christopher Nolan movie that I seen that, like, truly made me think of him differently as a director.
Not The Dark Knight?
It's an incredible movie. It's overhyped, though.
No, I would agree it's a little overhyped.
Yeah. Batman, I feel like it's a franchise, so you kind of have to have these moments of, like, you have to help DC do the vision that they want as well. I feel like Memento was the first movie that was like, this is what he makes as films. Is like, it's unchronological, it doesn't make sense, it's these high psychological thrillers. Like, that's what he's known for, is this type of movie. And I think that's why I love this movie so much, is because I've seen other Christopher Nolan movies. But it's just, this is such the blueprint for such an incredible style of what he does. It's incredible.
And that's actually a good kind of segue, because the opening of this movie opens in a way where, like, you don't know anything, really. Like,
Yeah, you were in the
same
same situation that he is in.
Exactly. Like, you only know what he knows from the start.
I will say that's my favorite part of the whole movie, is you are watching this movie from his perspective. So everything is happening from this, like, weird, you don't know anything, which is why it's unchronological, and that's what builds so much suspense into the movie, even though you see the end of the movie in the first act.
That's the greatest part about the opening, and I'm not a fan of opening credits normally. I think that usually opening credits are kind of boring and they're just kind of thrown in. Like, there's not a lot of thought put into the opening credits.
Yeah, especially early 2000s films.
The opening credits of this movie is the Polaroid in reverse. Like, straight off the bat, this movie's telling you the story is going to be told in reverse.
Yeah, backwards.
It's not about figuring out where he's going. It's figuring out how he got there. It's not just how he got to one location, but how he got to where he's at in general, because of his condition and how that's changed him as a person.
That is also one of the coolest things about this film, in my opinion, is that watching this movie for a second time almost gives you this, like, profound sense of what the film is, like, also trying to do, because you can't do that on a first watch because of how the movie's told. So when you're able to go back through it and watch it, like I just did for my second time, it almost just, like, completely changes the movie too, for, like, how you watch it. And, like,
Yeah.
just for that reason alone, I think Christopher Nolan movies are some of the most rewatchable movies of all time, because you can pick up on so much stuff 5 times after you've seen this movie. Like, I'm sure there's probably new stuff that you've seen this last time that you watched it, right?
Yeah, I think I have a couple things written down, and it's maybe like, because I've seen the movie like 5 times at this point, so it's little things like when he first gets into the car and the window's broken, he's like, tries to roll up his window. It's a great little storytelling of, like he has no idea if that's his car or anything, right? Teddy shows up, he's like, oh, let's get into this is your car. And he's like, that's not my car, I have this Polaroid of my car, which is instantly telling the audience, one, he uses Polaroids to remember, and then two, he kind of doesn't even know exactly what's his car, what's not his car, what's his or what's not.
Yeah, as he also has literally no idea besides the things that are on his body, which is also the cool thing about his tattoos. With the first scene of Teddy, that also is completely setting up him as a character. Is like him messing with him, see how much he can get away with because of his disability, and how much, like, just of a bad person that he is. You're seeing it off the first part of the film that he's in, and I think that's just so genius to, like, set it up in a way that almost feels like a joke. Just really cool to see it get like worse and worse backwards almost.
Yeah, because kind of at the start of the movie, you think Teddy's just joking, right? Oh, he's just messing around. The first thing that he does is he calls him Lenny, and he hates being called Lenny, and he knows that. He's known him for years now at this point. So he knows the fact that he doesn't like to be called Lenny,
Right.
but he does it just to mess with him and just to be that kind of person.
Even if it's just a certain word that he doesn't like, he's still breaking him down more and more psychologically.
You don't feel that when you first watch it because Teddy's is kind of fun. He's sarcastic. He's
Yeah, he almost feels like the comedic relief to the film.
Exactly.
At first, like he almost feels like that person that like is gonna help it feel a little less serious because this movie is so serious the entire time. You know, there is not one break where this movie even feels like I can laugh for a second. It is a dark movie.
I don't know. There's the one scene where he's being chased. He's like, "Is this guy chasing me?"
Yeah,
that is so funny.
That is a good scene.
You can't not laugh at that.
Yeah.
But the Teddy thing is, you feel bad for him when he shoots him at the beginning of the movie. When you first watch the movie, you're like, "Is this guy bad or anything?" Like this guy didn't seem like a bad guy. Like when he starts trying to explain to Leonard what's wrong with him, he's like, you don't even know who you are. That's also setting up. Leonard isn't a reliable narrator. All he knows is that he read it on the back of a picture.
Yeah, because even with
Carrie-Anne Moss, and she played Natalie.
So yeah, her character in this movie is really pinnacle towards like furthering the plot of this movie as well. You see her helping him with trying to find the killer. So you also think at first that she's also a person trying to help him and trying to like lend this hand. And then you also learn that this is just another person that is like just getting stuff from him. Like every person in this movie is just making it worse and worse for him. But she is really cool for pushing the plot even for Teddy because she doesn't like him. So she's helping him push to get away from Teddy. It's like these two characters combat each other without even really having a lot of screen time together, which is really cool.
The interesting part about it as well is in your mind at first, you sympathize with both of them. But as you get more information on both of them, you start to realize how much manipulation they actually do because it tells you that as well. Like you said, Teddy is manipulating him, but not just Teddy, everyone. First person you see him talk to is the motel owner. He does the same thing where he messes with him and he's like, asks him the same questions he's already asked him before just to hear him say it again. And you learn later in the movie that he's actually charging him for double rooms.
Yeah.
Everybody's shown that they do manipulate him.
Yeah, even if it is just on like a consumeristic level of somebody who is just trying to get money from him. Just that's also a really cool part of this movie is you get to see all those moments.
I think one of the things or themes that it's really talking about here, right, is identity. Who are you? You are who you tell yourself you are.
Right. It's kind of like the whole theme of the movie for sure.
You, in a way, like your identity it's pliable. But the idea is that what can somebody be if they don't know who they are, right?
Right. Also, another incredible physical part of this movie that I really like, on his left cheek, he has 2 scratches. It's a physical way for somebody, if they're not really picking up on it, is you can see the scratches fade on his face. So you can see how far along it's been since that scratch was, which is, I just think, a really cool physical part of the movie that isn't like talked about a lot, I guess.
Because the story's told in a U. So the black and white scenes represent the earliest part in the story, and the colored scenes represent the end of the story, and then they meet in the middle,
right,
where the black and white is the colored scenes, right? Or the colored scenes become black and white. Like this whole movie is him chasing his own tail, really.
Right. Yeah, this movie really is just Mark Wahlberg. What's going on here?
What? Who's that?
Memento is Mark Wahlberg's favorite movie of all time. Memento is where Mark Wahlberg got his acting chops.
Like the black and white scenes, it's just him on the phone. You never hear the person on the other side of that phone. But that's what makes it so much more eerie. The one thing that he says multiple times in the movie is like, I don't talk on the phone.
Because he wants to see him face to face so he can still like look him in the eyes and know if they're lying or not.
Or remember. It's really remembering.
I don't know. In my personal opinion, that's always kind of been like my take, is that it was he wanted to see if they were lying because you can like see in somebody's eyes if they're lying. He's just trying to like know if you're genuine.
He doesn't do a very good job of that.
No, not even a little bit.
I honestly think it's because of his memory though. He gets lost because if somebody starts talking about something else on the phone, he's in the same room, the same like, it's like his brain can't separate anything in his mind, right? Like
Right.
and so when somebody starts talking about something else, he loses it.
I think the perfect way to like show that in this movie too is when he's with Natalie. She gets beat up by him, and then she comes back a minute later when he's trying to remember to write this down, saying that somebody else beat her up, and that sends him on this wild goose chase. It's one of the best parts of the film to like really show how broken his brain is, because it's not even a minute before he completely forgets where he's at, what he's doing, why he's there, like, and he has to completely remember everything, and it just never works.
That's where, funny enough, I think the comedy comes in this movie. Where am I? I'm in a hotel room. I'm running. Okay.
Yeah, they definitely don't do it like how Marvel does, where there's like stupid off jokes that are just like jokes, but it's like
Yeah.
it's situational comedy in this.
And I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor, but I have heard that this is the best depiction of how this disease would work or how this disability would work. That's what I heard.
I have not heard that, but I could believe that. I do also love the fact that this movie is a runtime of 113 minutes. It's 2 hours, a little over 2 hours.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's under 2 hours.
That's what I said. So I do love the fact that it's under 2 hours and it gets away with such an incredible story in
It's
such a
efficiency.
short time. Yeah, like that is like the greatest thing about this film. Obviously, is the story writing. The story writing of this entire thing is incredible. The pacing of this movie. So being able to do all of this in a little under 2 hours, so nice.
And I don't know if it's just me, but at the beginning of the movie, I was like, what's happening? Like,
Right, I think everybody has that opinion.
well, because the way that it jumps kind of through time, you're kind of just confused. You're like, okay, now he's meeting somebody. Now he's like, okay, what's going on? But about like halfway into the movie, if not like less than halfway, I just realized, I just got it, right? But like there's certain things in it, like Natalie's cut lip when he meets her, you're like, oh geez, she must have a messed up boyfriend, some like beats her. And then you find out that it's him, but like she did it on purpose. It turns itself on its head multiple times.
Yeah.
So it's like multiple reversals. And that's the great thing about Sammy Jenkins as well and his wife and that whole storyline is it's basically reversals within reversals.
Yeah, no, 100%. Is like I think you nailed it right on the head by saying that it's just turning itself on its head all the time. Every scene that it jumps back to, it's flipping it. So that the first half is always going to subvert your expectations. Just being able to do that with every scene in this movie, it's incredible how that is done.
I almost feel like this is the perfect story to have that, right? Like because every scene can be so interesting and so different because of the way it's being told, you never know what's going on until it's going on. Even if you know that, oh, the story's being told backwards.
Yeah, backwards.
They put things in places where you just like, you almost can't know what's going on.
Right.
The really interesting thing about this movie, though, is exposition. Because most movies, you have to have exposition. And exposition is basically just explaining things. Let's say in this movie, it's explaining his condition, it's explaining his backstory, like anything like that. A lot of people get mad at exposition and say like, you can't do it.
Yeah, it needs to be done tastefully.
You show rather than tell. And
I used to do that back in like second grade.
What'd you bring?
Usually just like my mom's like crack pipe or something. Should I do something less dark? Another take? I don't know. Usually my mom would give me like a black eye before school, so that would usually be to go for show and tell.
Puppy? It was a puppy? You said you were bringing a puppy? The exposition, it's done so naturally.
This movie is almost all exposition to a certain extent because that's what he is doing, is explaining everything because he's figuring it out.
The reason why this movie works with the exposition is he's an unreliable narrator, right? So everything we get from him, it's everything he thinks he knows based off of what's written. Even though it's exposition, you don't trust the exposition. It has subtext to it that ends up playing a bigger point later, I guess, in the story or in his eventual realization of himself.
No, 100%. I mean, even the writers tell you that, though, in the movie. How Teddy is telling him to write something down in his picture, so he writes it in a different handwriting so that he knows that that's not his thought. That's somebody else controlling the narrative. So
Yeah.
it's just another like piece of them telling you that like the narrative of whatever this is can get jumbled so easily. So cool where you see that happen on so many different levels.
We've talked about it already, how the movie's like a U or it's in reverse, right? It collides. The end of the movie is the obvious point for a story, stereotypical conclusion. The ending is him talking to Teddy kind of and realizing he's Sammy Jenkins, the realization of what he's become. It's the middle of the story. And that makes everything that came before it in the movie almost heartbreaking. This realization that's usually a character's like ultimate goal or character arc, right? Because it is a character arc, but it's only from that perspective.
Right.
In a whole, he reverts back to the same person that he was before, and he just keeps going, right? It's just what he's always going to do.
Yeah, like
So
it's progress, but it immediately gets torn down to nothing. So the progress is pretty much it's never staying as progress.
and that's where the beginning of this movie also is even that much more sad, because with Teddy dead, there's nobody who even knows Leonard, really.
Yeah.
At that point, he's all alone. He's the only one that's like, he's still hunting. This Sammy storyline as well, for some reason, is like, it's the condition that makes you interested in this random story about this dude who injects his wife with insulin. You're like, okay.
Right. It's really cool because not a lot of media or film really talks about this mental disease. So it's cool to see somebody like really take this subject matter serious and really like hit it.
Kind of a contrast to 50 First Dates. Hi, I'm Tom.
Comparing Memento to 50 First Dates,
Yeah.
that is one of the funniest things I've ever heard in my life.
He could be in the same facility that like those other people are in, painting and shit, but he's out there hunting down and murdering people. The tattoos on his body is such a genius idea because it's like it gives him this kind of creepy quality when you look at him. It's sad because it's his life trauma and
Right.
tragedy that's just like tattooed onto him. Find him. He's got Find Him on his pec.
Yeah, some of them don't really make sense. Like Find Him, it's like, well, yeah.
The way that they put Leonard in this position of tragedy, everything that's etched onto his body is stuff that happened after he got his memory loss, right? So every single time he sees his Sammy Jenkins, right? He's like, see, it's on his arms. What the hell? Because he's got no idea. So this happens probably multiple times every day or week.
Oh yeah, yeah. You see it a couple times throughout the entire movie.
So all he's doing is basically just walking to the mirror and seeing almost every single day.
I do really enjoy the cover to this movie, having the Polaroid and then having Natalie inside of the Polaroid and then having a Polaroid inside of the Polaroid. Having that imagery, I think, is also just another way of showing you that like there's just a Polaroid on top of Polaroid and there's just all these stories that are happening. I think it's great.
Well, the Polaroid as well. What an amazing like prop or storytelling device.
Yeah.
In this movie.
Yeah,
like,
we haven't even touched that. That is incredible.
Like most people just use Polaroids in movies as like, oh, it's a Polaroid. It's literally like a major part of the story and something that you have to pay attention to and something that he uses all, like it's part of his daily life.
Yeah, it's like that is like legitimately how he goes about every single day is Polaroids, and that is such a cool way to tell a story.
Well, and everybody's fantastic. I mentioned the cast at the start as well, but Guy Pearce plays this weird, like, he seems off. He doesn't know if he's seen you before, like that thing he talks about. And it's just the way that he plays the character is like he's always confused. And he doesn't do it like Mark Wahlberg, like, what? What? But he does it in this way that he doesn't want to show that he's confused. It's like this depression.
Yeah, it's like a broken man who like genuinely doesn't know what to do. Every day you're having to relearn all of that. It's like Groundhog Day, but like 10 times harder, dude. Like, how do you not almost just completely give up?
Problem is, though, is he doesn't even know how much time has passed.
Right.
It's this man, he's basically stuck. And Carrie-Anne Moss, she, I guess, like her character itself isn't super unique or stand out, I guess, in like the grand scheme of like characters.
Like, it's not like a crazy character or nothing, but it is a very well played out character. She feels like somebody who is trying to get anything she can out of this person.
I think she is, but she's also she is broken and sad herself, right?
Oh yeah.
He killed her boyfriend. So she reaches over and feels the bed and does the same things that he does. What I meant by like she's not like super standout is because there's not too much of her. Kind of the problem is like these people are complex, you know? I don't think any of these characters are good or evil, right? Her character is complex, and I think everybody's character in this movie is pretty complex. At least most of them. Like even Sammy Jenkins and his wife, even in the made-up story, it feels like they have this personality to them, even though all you really hear from them is like narration from Leonard. Not the fact that it's the most insane story, but it has depth. It feels like there's foundation to all of these characters and everything. And I don't know, Teddy's super interesting to me. And the reason why with Teddy is why? What is he doing? So he's just taking out drug dealers or taking out like criminals. He's a cop and he's working with Leonard, but like what does he do with the precinct? Like why did he get involved with Leonard in the first place? Was it really to hunt down John G? It's like his whole backstory and why he's involved with Leonard is one thing that like I'm really interested in. I don't need a spin-off, you know, we don't need a Jesus Rolls or anything. We just
Right. You're just never really getting to know how you know these characters because neither does he.
So interesting things of note. I stole that, by the way. That's not mine. That comes from Michael Rosenbaum. Should we have something different?
Well, yeah. How about try to have some personality?
Facts and shit. Tell us about the interesting facts, Brody. Some interesting kind of cool things to note about the movie, though, is it was filmed in just 25 days, which, to my knowledge, is probably the fastest movie turnaround, like at least for a big film like this, ever.
Are you just saying that?
I said it probably. I didn't say it is. I just said probably.
Well, that's a quick Google search. I feel like we should just look that up if you're going to say that.
Thanks. Actually, no, Roger Corman's The Little Shop of Horrors, which is insane because that movie has like, it's a musical and it has like animatronic props. Not even animatronic, kind of. They're like puppets. 2 days. And Paranormal Activity and the Blair Witch Project were about a week.
That's actually fucking insane. That's really cool.
That seems easier though for Blair Witch Project.
Oh yeah.
You just they threw the kids out in the woods and were like, just freak out.
Do something, yeah.
Yeah, just not having a panic attack. You know, most movies are shot within a year, 2 years sometimes.
Yeah, I would say usually the longest is about 2 years, but I would say on average it's about 9 months to about like a year and a half is average for production for a year. For a movie.
This movie did premiere at a film festival, so it's not necessarily like a AAA movie if you want to use that term, but it's still pretty crazy to know. All of the Polaroids as well in the film were actually shot by Guy Pearce himself, which I think is kind of cool.
No, that's insane. If I were ever to get my hands on one of those, that is like genuinely probably one of the coolest like mementos from a movie. What, did I do something?
You said it. The movie. You said the name.
I don't know.
What would be your picture of choice? I think the one that I would choose is the Teddy one, where he's all smiling in the sun, you know?
That's a really good one. I think
that one would be great.
Dodd would be good. Dodd would be a really good one.
Some dude tied up. You're just like showing people, oh, you guys gotta see this.
Yeah.
Who the hell is that? Honestly, no idea.
So another cool thing about this film is that Guy Pearce actually didn't memorize the entire script altogether. They didn't want to do that because they wanted to emulate how he was thinking in the movie, which is very sporadic. So they were filming it sporadically as well, just to help the tone of the movie, which is really cool. Back in 2017, the Library of Congress preserved this movie because of the cultural, the historical, and the aesthetically significant. Sorry, I wanted to... Which is actually, it's so cool. That is such a cool thing because I think this film truly deserves it.
It is kind of significant, you know, like actually being put in there. Like I'm sure, obviously there's a decent amount of movies, 900, that's a decent amount, but in the overall grand picture, the big picture of everything, getting a movie in there, I bet that's got to be an achievement.
No, 100%.
You want me to give this movie a rating?
I don't think
10 out of 10, best thing I ever saw. This might be one of the best movies I've ever seen. This is in my top 3 probably of all time.
So this is going to be kind of a controversial take because this is going to be our first video. I'm starting off with a 10. Tell me one thing about this movie that brings it down. Like truly, like I don't like to put 10s on a lot of things.
You gotta leave room in a way.
Yeah, like I think A perfect film is so hard to do. It is almost impossible. I would seriously recommend this movie to anybody ever. This is my favorite film of all time. I'm giving Memento 10 out of 10.
If I'm being my opinion of this movie, I rate this a 10 out of 10. If I was going based on everybody else, I'd be like, yeah, it's a 9.5, 9.6. Well, everything could always be improved. But if I were to be completely honest with
I'm
myself,
standing on business.
this movie's a 10 out of 10. It
Yeah.
deserves it. It deserves a 10 out of 10. Okay, so it has a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes. A 94%, which is pretty good. It does have an 8.4 on IMDb and an 8.4 on Prime Video.
I'm sure for a lot of people, this movie doesn't work because this movie is very non-traditional. It's a very weird movie. Like, I understand why people wouldn't like this movie. It's a very odd movie.
Yeah, and it is a little bit of a depressing movie or whatever. And I know some people like the more light-hearted stuff, but to me,
Right.
this is a 10 out of 10 in my book. This is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Please do yourself a favor. It's 2 hours long. It's on Amazon right now. I think it's on Tubi as well. I know you can find this movie for free, though. Please do yourself a favor. Please check this movie out. This has been Big Brody.
And this has been Flow Money.